Hey guys, today we are leveling up our order of operations, and this time we're going to be using both integers and exponents. That's the extra thrown in there. We all know our order of operations: parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. Go ahead and write down this problem and let's go ahead and get started. Today we are evaluating 1 minus negative 1 to the third power plus 2 times negative 3, all of that to the second power. So following our order of operations, the very first thing that I want to do is I want to pay attention to parentheses. We got a set of parentheses here, but there's no operation happening in there, so I don't have to do anything. But over here, we have not one, but two sets of parentheses, and there is in fact an operation happening inside of these parentheses. So this operation, 2 times negative 3, is going to be the very first thing that I want to do here, okay? We know that 2 times negative 3 evaluates to negative 6. Now, that negative 6, the result of inside of our parentheses, we have to include that exponent. And everything else, I'm just going to bring down. Everything that we haven't dealt with yet, always bring it down. So we have checked off our parentheses. We don't have any more parentheses, any more operations inside of parentheses that we need to deal with. Next up comes our exponents. And I see here that I got an exponent here and an exponent here. Okay, let's talk about this negative 1 to the third power first. I know that 1 to any power is going to equal 1, but this is a negative 1. And I also know that a negative sitting inside of the parentheses, and when I have an odd exponent, 3 is an odd number, it's just going to be negative 1. Negative 1 to the third power is just negative 1. Now let's deal with our second exponent, okay? Negative 6 to the second power is just negative 6 times negative 6. Negative times a negative is a positive. Remember this same rule, we have a negative sitting inside of our parentheses, and this time we have an even exponent, an even number of 2. So I know my result is going to be a positive 36. Okay? I'm going to bring down everything else that I have not already dealt with, which was just this addition sign, as well as this 1 minus. And I'm going to go ahead, boop, we crossed out that e because we are done with exponents. Now, I don't see any multiplication or division happening in here, so we don't need to worry about those, but I do see some addition and subtraction. Now remember, these are interchangeable. So even though I am subtracting a negative number here, I'm going to deal with this guy first, and which in turn just ends up becoming what we know as an addition, because subtracting a negative becomes an addition. So 1 minus negative 1 is just 1 plus 1 plus a 36. Now I know that 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 36 is equal to 38. So this whole result up here, or I'm sorry, this whole equation up here ends up resulting in just 38. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more. I'm going to rewrite my PEMDAS up here in another color so it's very easy to see. And I'm going to go ahead and write out our problem. Negative 3 minus 3 to the third all over negative 2 plus 3 inside parentheses to the third power. Now this one might look a little extra scary. We got a fraction going on. But just remember, a fraction is the same thing as a division problem, okay? So let's go ahead and start with our parentheses, because that is the first step in our order of operations. And I see down here in my denominator that I have some parentheses. I have some operation that needs to be done inside my parentheses. Now I'm going to go ahead and start rewriting over here so I have a little more room. And I know that negative 2 plus 3 is equal to 1. 1 to the third power, that exponent in the denominator needs to come down. And then I haven't done anything in the numerator yet, so I'm just going to rewrite it. And guess what? We're done now with our parentheses. Now let's go ahead and work on our exponents. And I see an exponent sitting in both our numerator as well as our denominator. So let's go ahead and talk about that. I like to draw our fraction sign because it just makes my life easier. Let's talk about our denominator first. 1 to the third power. Pretty easy. 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. So I know whatever's in my numerator is going to be our result. Now let's talk about this negative 3 to the third power, or we're subtracting 3 to the third power. Now what I want y'all to see is that we don't have any parentheses here, so I am just going to not worry about this minus sign or subtraction sign, however you want to think about it. I'm only going to pay attention to this 3 to the third first, okay? 3 to the third power, I know that 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So now I'm going to bring over everything that I have not dealt with yet, which is just that negative 3 minus, now we're done with our exponents. Now I also don't see any multiplication in there, but I do see some division because I know that this fraction sign is a division sign. However, we're just dividing by 1, so we don't have to think that hard about it. Cross that bad boy out. Now we just pay attention to the addition and subtraction in our numerator. Negative 3 minus 27. We're starting at negative 3, which is to the left of 0. And since we're subtracting, we're going more to the left, more negative. Negative 3 minus 27 is just negative 30. Awesome job, guys. Make sure this is in your notebook. Go ahead, write it down, and I will see you all tomorrow.